A college girl sits in class when she receives a message asking how she's getting home. She replies that she plans to take the bus. The sender suggests checking the ride board instead. After class, she heads to the bulletin board and notices a note offering a ride to Delaware on December 23rd. She changes her mind and decides not to take the bus. She walks to the parking lot and finds a guy sleeping in his car. She gets annoyed when she sees that he's parked far from the entrance. The trunk is already full, but she manages to squeeze her suitcase inside. As she tries to open the car door, he tells her it sometimes gets stuck. He eventually manages to open it, and they begin their trip. During the drive, she chats on the phone with her friend, but the guy becomes visibly irritated. She tells her friend she's bored and that there are still 5 hours to go. She snaps a photo of the guy and asks why he looks annoyed. He explains that according to the unspoken rules of road trips, the passenger should keep the driver engaged in conversation. She isn't in the mood to talk, but eventually asks what school he went to. He says he attended a Catholic all-boys school and that now they're in the same class. She doesn't remember him. There were too many people. He tells her the year and they continue talking. He asks why she chose to major in philosophy. She explains it was easier to get into, though she originally wanted to study engineering. The guy starts a dull monologue about philosophy, so she changes the mood by putting on music. As she paints her nails, she mentions she needs to use the bathroom. He assures her there's a gas station ahead. He shifts the conversation to eye surgery, which she corrects as being laser-based. He asks about her vision. She says she plans to get it fixed over the summer. He compliments her glasses, but she's confused. She only wears them in her dorm. An awkward silence follows before he changes the subject. They arrive at the gas station and park. He reminds her she said she needed to use the bathroom. She says she can't get out yet because her nail polish hasn't dried. He offers to help and escorts her to the store. Inside, she asks the clerk where the bathroom is. He points toward it. She enters, does what she needs, but then can't open the door. She calls for help, but no one answers. Finally, she hears the guy's voice and tells him she's stuck. After several attempts, she manages to open the door. She asks why he didn't come when she called. He says he didn't hear her. The clerk reminds the guy not to forget he needs to get on the highway. The guy reassures her that he knows the route well. They leave the store. She offers to split the gas costs, but he declines. As they drive, he suddenly veers off the road. She questions the detour and asks if it's supposed to be some kind of joke. She grows uneasy and demands they return to the main road, but he insists it's just a shortcut. They pass a few wooden crosses buried in the snow and continue deeper into the woods. He puts on a Christmas song and begins talking about his family traditions. He shares how he celebrates Christmas with his parents. She responds that she celebrates twice, once with her mom, once with her dad, who separated when she was still a freshman. As their conversation continues, he starts to notice that something about her seems a little off. The mood turns tense and they begin to argue. Suddenly, a car approaches from the opposite direction, its headlights blindingly bright. They nearly collide head-on, but he jerks the wheel just in time, sending them off the road. The crash is rough and everything goes black. Sometime later, the girl regains consciousness. She quietly pulls a knife from her bag and steps out of the car. She tries to call her friend, but before she can do anything, the guy appears behind her, startling her. He asks what she's doing. She says she's trying to call for help, but there's no signal. She asks for his phone, but he admits he doesn't have one. She looks at him concerned and asks if he's okay. He says he just hit his head and feels a little shaken. He then wonders aloud about the other car, why it hasn't come back. The girl assumes the driver must have left, but he notices something strange. There are no tire tracks on the road. He calls out for help, but only silence answers. He says they should return to the car and try to get moving again. They head back and he begins searching the area, eventually stumbling across a set of old gravestones. Meanwhile, the girl climbs into the driver's seat as he tries to push the car free, but they're stuck deep in a snowbank. She locks the doors, panicked, and starts yelling at him, blaming him for everything. She accuses him of lying about where he lives, calls him a maniac, and says none of this makes sense. They argue heatedly. He insists he's not crazy, that it's not his fault. He decides he'll walk back to the gas station for help and asks her to come with him. But she refuses, afraid of him now. He heads off into the woods alone. Left in the car, the girl finds some tape and begins covering the broken window, trying to seal out the cold. Suddenly, she sees a man walking through the snow. Desperate for help, she jumps out of the car and calls to him, but he doesn't respond. He keeps walking, disappearing silently into the forest. Panicked, she tries to calm herself down, repeating it aloud. When the guy returns, she tells him she saw a man on the road. He brushes it off, saying the gas station is closed and they should get back in the car. She grows suspicious. Gas stations don't close, especially not this one. She demands answers, accusing him again of being unstable. She refuses to get back in the car with him, but has nowhere else to go. Time passes. She looks at the clock and notices it's stopped. He tells her it's broken. She points out he's bleeding, but he waves it off like it's nothing. Then she asks him directly who he really is. He finally confesses. He's just a regular student, not someone who lived nearby. He says he found out where she lived from friends, and he only wanted to offer a ride to a pretty girl. She asks how he even knew she needed a ride. Flashback. Back in class, he saw the message pop up on her phone. That was the moment he decided to talk to her. Once she learns the truth, the girl begins to relax a little. The guy suggests they eat something, but she realizes she left her bag of food back in the parking lot. He remembers he might have a chocolate bar under the seat. While searching for it, he suddenly starts shouting in a panic, alarming her, until he admits it was just a joke. The mood turns sour again. They bicker, exchanging insults. Without warning, the engine sputters and dies. She grabs a flashlight and checks under the car, discovering that all the gas has leaked out. The temperature plummets quickly. He takes her things and tries to offer her some clothes, but there's nothing warm enough to help. She tells him she never expected to get stuck in a snowbank. As the cold sets in, he suggests sharing body heat, but she refuses. Later, she says she needs to pee and steps out behind the car. Just as she finishes, she's startled by 3 priests silently walking past her. One of them glances her way but continues on. She bolts back to the car, telling the guy what she saw. They chase after the figures, shouting for help. The group pauses, but then moves on without acknowledging them. She panics, insisting they return to the car. He keeps chasing them until he starts coughing violently and sees blood in his hand. He goes on ahead and finds an old, abandoned house. Inside, he discovers a dusty newspaper on the floor. As he explores further, he stumbles upon a pile of frozen corpses. In shock, he stares for a moment, then turns and flees. When he looks back, the bodies are gone. Meanwhile, the girl spots another man on the road and rushes to ask for help. The man is muttering, pleading with an unseen officer not to throw him in the water. She chases after him and notices a wire wrapped around his legs. She asks who did that, but his words are jumbled and incoherent. As she reaches out to touch him, she's burned. He turns toward her, revealing a snake protruding from his mouth. Horrified, she stumbles backward, straight into 2 blood-covered men. The guy finds her lying in the snow. She weakly tells him there was a man with something on his face. He helps her back to the car, and they use a newspaper to cover the windows. They huddle together for warmth. He seems more in control now, oddly composed. Hours pass. There's a knock on the window. A police officer stands outside and asks what they're doing there. The girl explains that another car forced them off the road. The officer assumes they're just a couple making out and says he'll let them off with a warning. But she suspects a scam. She thinks the officer is working with the driver of the other car, trying to extort money. She offers a bribe, but he refuses, saying this stretch of road is dangerous and that accidents involving young people happen all the time. Then he tells her to get into his car. The tension spikes. Suddenly, the officer shouts at her, saying she's not going anywhere. She sees another man standing on the hill nearby. The officer keeps approaching, demanding she get in the car. She begs him to leave them alone. Out of nowhere, the guy hits the officer with a metal object, and just like that, they find themselves back inside their own car. The guy's hands are frozen to the metal bar. She tells him to warm them, and he places them against her stomach. Confused, he asks what happened. She explains that just moments ago they were outside with the officer, and now they're back in the car, and the officer is gone. Like he vanished into thin air. As he warms his hands, they start talking about food. She asks what he had bought at the gas station convenience store. She wants to know what snacks he picked up, saying she's craving one last meal before they die. Her voice begins to crack, and soon she's crying. He tries to calm her, saying the night will pass and that someone will eventually drive by and find them. She mentions that she has some pills in her bag and goes to get them. He also takes a few. Then she presses a newspaper up against the window to block the cold, but something on the page catches her attention. A photo from an old article. It tells the story of an accident on this very road in 1963. A couple died. A police officer in another car also perished. A group of priests were the first to arrive, but they couldn't save anyone. She quietly says they should take turns keeping watch and volunteers to stay up first. She tells him to get some rest. Time passes. The newspaper covering the window slips down again, and suddenly the radio crackles to life. Without warning, the officer from earlier smashes the window. A flashback begins to play out, showing how that same officer caused multiple fatal accidents on the road and kidnapped young women. The guy jolts awake to find the girl breathing heavily beside him. He shakes her gently to wake her up. The radio blares again, and out on the road, a patrol car appears through the haze. Cold air starts flooding the cabin through the vents. He throws his body over them, trying to block the freezing wind from reaching her. She wakes about an hour later. Still trapped in the car, they start to hear strange sounds. The vehicle begins to rock back and forth. Their anxiety climbs with every creak, but eventually the noise fades. He tells her they just need to wait until sunrise, that they'll be safe if they stay inside. 4 hours pass. He's clearly deteriorating. His voice is weaker, but he tries to keep her spirits up. She searches the car for more pills to help him, but instead finds a bottle of bloody urine. Horrified, she asks if he was injured badly in the crash. He admits he's been coughing up blood for a while, that the crash hurt him internally. She wants to return to the gas station to find help, but he warns her it's too dangerous. Then she reveals her plan. She found an old phone in the car and wants to connect it to the nearby radio tower to call emergency services. Before she goes, he quietly says that if the afterlife is just a loop, he hopes next time he'd do just one thing differently. He would walk up to her after class and say hello. She replies, that would have been nice. Then she leans in and kisses him. She climbs the tower quickly, hooks up the phone, and manages to make a call to the rescue service. But the connection is bad, and she's not sure the message went through. When she returns to the car, she finds him dead. As she pulls her friend's lifeless body from the car, she sees headlights approaching and panics, fearing it's the crazed officer again. But this time, it's real help. Rescue has finally arrived. While they're driving, one of the men starts telling her about the road's dark history. He explains that years ago, a corrupt police officer used to pull over young travelers and murder them. Eventually, he died in a car crash, burned alive in his own vehicle. But after his death, the accidents didn't stop. A family was found frozen to death nearby. The girl asks what happened to the priests. The man tells her they were discovered frozen in their beds, unable to save anyone. Suddenly, another car appears ahead. The radio flicks on, playing the same haunting tune from earlier. She immediately realizes it's the officer's car again. Though she and the man survive, he insists on checking whether the driver of the other vehicle is still alive. The girl steps out and realizes something horrifying. They're back where they started. She tries to stop him, warning him that it's too dangerous, that the man in the other car is already dead. But another officer insists they have to help. Before they can act, the priests appear, approach the vehicle, and tear the radio from the car's dashboard. The dead man begs not to be judged, crying out for mercy as flames consume the car. Then, from within the fire, the spirit of the corrupt officer emerges and grabs the other policeman. He instantly freezes solid. The girl races back to the car and tries to start it, but the ghostly officer is close behind. He reaches for her, but at the last second, her dead friend reappears from the woods and pulls the officer away. She awakens in the car, seated beside her friend's cold body. Morning breaks. Outside, she sees his ghost standing in the snow. He asks for forgiveness for leaving without saying goodbye. She nods, apologizing in return for leaving him alone that night. He assures her everything will be okay, then gently guides her toward the woods. She walks through the snow to a nearby gas station. Medical workers and rescuers arrive. They give her first aid while her friend's body is taken away. She picks up a phone and looks at a photo of the man who saved her. The film ends. She is the only one who made it out alive.